While doing a little bit of playtesting for my multiplayer shooter Powerlust, a big issue was brought up, which was alarming because the biggest Powerlust playtesting session ever was in just 2 days. It was an issue that had been brought up before, only I thought it was just exaggerated because it was being used as an excuse for dying over and over. But when it was brought up again, I decided to pay more attention to it, and I discovered that it was a much bigger problem than I'd ever thought, and there's not even really a good way to solve it. Sometimes projectiles will not hit enemies, even when they very clearly did. This comes down to the fact that when you shoot someone in my game, the bullets that come out of your gun are purely cosmetic. They're simply to give you some visual feedback that you are in fact shooting. When you're shooting, the gun sends a message to the other player's computers and tells them to spawn a projectile in a very specific place with a very specific direction, so that the projectiles will be in the exact same place for everyone. And this would work if everyone had 0 ping, but they don't, so there is actually a little bit of delay between you shooting and the projectile spawning on the other player's screen. So for you, the cosmetic bullets that hit the enemy are actually in a different place compared to the projectiles that deal damage on the other player's screen, which missed because they're about 200 milliseconds behind, obviously depending on the ping. This is only made worse by even more desync between player locations. Players can be synced up a lot more frequently because there's a maximum of only 9 players compared to the hundreds of bullets that there can be at one time. However, bullets move very predictably, in a perfectly straight line, but players move in all kinds of weird ways. There are some things we can do, like extrapolation, so that your computer will predict where other players have gone since it last received a message from them. But we already do that, and it doesn't work because quite frequently they will change direction during that time. There's not that much that extrapolation can do against that. And players change direction a lot, especially when dodging. There's not really any simple way I can solve this without a dedicated server, which as I mentioned in Devlog 5 is very expensive, so instead I came up with a bit of a band-aid solution to try and hide the fact that this is a problem. If you look at how this problem would be handled in a first-person shooter, the answer is very simple. It's just not a problem at all. In a first-person shooter, dodging isn't a thing, and as a result, you can get away with the projectiles actually being calculated on your computer, meaning if it looks like you hit them, you did. In my game, if we did that, it would result in taking damage to nothing, so we can't do that. But what if we went in the opposite direction of a first-person shooter and removed aiming? Introducing the bullet hell gun. You've seen this in the background of all the devlogs since Devlog 4, including this one, and it's just the old gun but with 30 degrees of spread. The goal is to promote dodging and make aiming less important. Now you will barely notice if a projectile doesn't hit because you're too busy dodging anyway. This isn't a great solution, but I think it's probably one of the best options, but we're just gonna have to put up with this. But what do you think? Do you know of a better solution to this? Let me know in the comments. Also, another thing that I need to talk about but I don't really think deserves its own video is the new movement system from Devlog 4. If you don't remember, in that video I spent a good week trying to create a new movement system for the game where you move in the direction you're facing. I don't really know what I was thinking with this because it sucked, so I removed it. Anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you all in the next video.